There are four main objectives to 5.1. Explain the ways ecologists study populations. Identify the factors that affect population growth. Explain what happens during exponential growth. And explain what happens during logistic growth. There are four main ways that scientists are going to use to describe populations. They include geographic range, density and distribution, growth rate, and age structure. The places a population lives makes up its geographic range. A population range can vary enormously in size. For example, the population of bacteria in a single rotting vegetable is in a small area. The part of an ocean inhabited by a population of fish can be a very large area. Geographic ranges can grow or shrink over time. The brown recluse spider can be found normally anywhere that humans dwell. The different colors show the different species of where the brown recluse spider lives. Notice that the brown recluse spider is limited to only the southern and midwestern parts of the United States. The geographic range of the lionfish is increasing from the green areas in the Pacific and Indian Oceans, where it is native, to the Atlantic and Caribbean, where it is an introduced invasive species. The number of individuals in a population can change over time, or it can stay the same. Population numbers can grow rapidly when moving into a new area, or they can shrink over time due to activities such as hunting. As mentioned before, vocabulary is very important. Here are three main vocabulary words for the next few slides. Population density is the number of individuals per unit area. Population distribution is how individuals are spaced out across the range. Age structure is the number of males and females of each age in a population. The number of individuals that can be found per unit area is called the population density. In a given environment, one species may have very few individuals or a low density, while another species has a much higher density with many individuals. Population distribution is a description of the way individuals are spaced out across the population's range. There are three distribution patterns: random, uniform, and clumped. In a clumped population, individuals are packed closely together. This may, for example, help protect individuals from predators. In a uniform population, individuals are spaced evenly. This occurs when individuals compete for resources. In a random distribution, individuals are spaced unevenly. This occurs when the location of an individual has little effect on another individual. A population will increase or decrease in size depending on how many individuals are added to it or removed from it. Birth rate, death rate, and the rate at which individuals enter or leave a population all affect population growth. Populations can increase if more individuals are born in a period of time than die during the same period. In other words, a population can increase when its birth rate is higher than its death rate. If the birth rate equals the death rate, the population may stay the same size. If the death rate is greater than the birth rate, the population will decrease. Here are 3 more vocabulary words to learn. Immigration is the movement of individuals into an area occupied by an existing population. Emigration is the movement of individuals out of an area. Exponential growth is a growth pattern in which the individuals in a population reproduce at an increasing rate. If a population has all of the food and space it needs and protection from predators and disease, the population can increase. The rate of population growth increases because each generation contains more individuals than the generation before it. More and more offspring are produced in a situation called exponential growth. Under ideal conditions with unlimited resources, a population will increase exponentially. This means that the larger the population gets, the faster it grows. Bacteria can grow very rapidly. If a single bacterium in ideal conditions can divide every 20 minutes, then after 20 minutes there are 2 bacteria. After another 20 minutes there are 4 bacteria, and at the end of the first hour there are 8 bacteria cells. After 3 20-minute periods, there are 2 times 2 times 2, or 2 to the third, equals 8 cells. In 2 hours there are 2 to the 6, equals 64 cells. After 1 day, there are 4,720 quintillion cells. If you plot the bacterial population on a graph, you get a curve shaped like the letter J that rises slowly at first and then rises faster and faster. If nothing interfered with this growth, the population would become infinitely large. Most organisms reduce much more slowly than bacteria. But if exponential growth continued indefinitely, the result would still be an impossible number of individuals. Sometimes when an organism migrates or it's moved to a new location, its population grows exponentially for a time. Two new vocabulary words. Logistic growth is a growth pattern in which a population's growth slows and then stops following a period of exponential growth. The carrying capacity is the largest number of individuals of a particular species that a particular environment can support. Natural populations do not grow exponentially for very long. Sooner or later, things happen that stop exponential growth. After a few individuals are induced into a real-world environment, growth follows the following steps or phases. Phase 1, population grows rapidly. After a short time, the population begins to grow exponentially. During this phase, resources are unlimited. Individuals grow and reproduce rapidly, and few individuals die, and many offspring are produced. The population size and rate of growth increase more and more rapidly. See the next slide for a graph. Phase 2, growth slows down. In real-world populations, exponential growth begins to slow down. This slowing down of growth is due to limiting factors such as competition for resources. This does not mean that the population size decreases. The population still increases, but not as rapidly as before. The logistic growth curve is shaped like the letter S. Logistic growth occurs when a population growth slows and then stops, following a period of exponential growth. Many plant and animal populations follow a logistic growth curve. Growth may slow if the birth rate decreases or if the death rate increases. Changing rates of immigration and emigration also affect population growth. A population stops growing when its birth rate and death rate are the same, and when immigration equals emigration. The population size may rise and fall somewhat, but the changes average out around a certain population size. The carrying capacity is the maximum number of individuals of a particular species that a particular environment can support. Once a population reaches the carrying capacity of its environment, various factors affect the population and help stabilize its size.